Welcome back, Wolfpack. Verlis here, and this is how to use Jirachi. Now, Jirachi is a mythical legendary Pokemon, which means it's going to have 100 in all of the base stats, and we're going to see this with a lot of Pokemon near the end of the region's Pokedex, except for Victini, which is in the beginning, which is kind of weird. And then some other crazy Pokemon like Arceus, Darkrai, and Deoxys. Actually, Deoxys is coming up tomorrow, so we get to look at that. But overall, you know, this gives you a lot of diversity. We kind of saw this with Mew, we're going to see it with more Pokemon, and you could be a decently fast Pokemon, you could be a really tanky Pokemon, you have some good offensive potential, and overall you can just kind of play this Pokemon however you want because of its stats. Now, since it is a legendary Pokemon, and especially since it's a mythical legendary Pokemon, you're going to have a very hard time finding a chance to use this Pokemon in competitive play, but overall it's pretty cool if you get the chance to use it. Steel Psychic typing is its typing, which means that you're going to have 4 weaknesses, Ground, Ghost, Fire, and Dark, but you're going to have a good amount of resistances, that immunity to poison, so you can play this out really tankily, and if you kind of look at it, Ghost, Fire, and Dark, you might want to be a little more special defensive, just take care of that, because Ground is really you're only going to see like Earthquake threat from, but with Ghost, Fire, and Dark, those are special attack threats for the most part, so if you play around that, you can kind of make it to where you're making the best of your weaknesses, and that's kind of how we do it. So if we hop into Pokemon Showdown, we can kind of just see that Jirachi gets hilarious because it has the ability Serene Grace. I don't know why or how, but that's hilarious because Body Slam, 30% chance to paralyze the target, becomes a 60% chance to paralyze the target. Iron Head, 30% chance to flinch the target, becomes a 60% chance to flinch the target. And for those of you who are familiar with Togekiss, that's Paraflinch. That you have a 25% chance to get paralyzed, then a 60% chance to get flinched. You're not going anywhere once this Pokemon locks you down. Now, you don't have to have Body Slam. It's just kind of like that extra damage kind of cool thing, like, hey, I'm using Body Slam. If they're using Minimize, I get to stop them, and that's really cool because Body Slam, its power is doubled and has perfect accuracy against Pokemon that has Minimize, or you can just, you know, play it safe. Thunder Wave. Thunder Wave, it's always going to paralyze the target. Body Slam, since, you know, it has that 60% chance you might not get it, and that could set you back. And then you just go into Paraflinch, and just when they think that they have you down, you can just Wish Protect, become a huge stall kind of Pokemon, and Leftovers is giving you a lot of health. Also, every time they get flinched, that means you're not taking damage, and you're getting a 16th of your health from Leftovers, so it becomes very frustrating. When we look at the breakdown of the Pokemon, I was thinking we could go Adamant Nature with hit point investment. Since you are paralyzing them, the speed doesn't matter too much, and since you're trying to lock them down, it's probably just best to go for the highest amount of damage. Iron Head gets very powerful. That's going to have Stab, so it's a 120 base power move. Coming out of a 328 attack, you can start doing a good amount of damage with that, and then you can kind of put that last point anywhere, speed, defenses. Not really too impactful, but that's kind of what we're looking at. Also, you can run the same idea, but with Choice Scarf, that you can use it as kind of an anti-lead. You see them setting up, you trick them out, or if they have like some kind of setup Pokemon, you trick that setup Pokemon, they just do the same thing. Thunder Wave, Iron Head, and then you can Wish. You don't have the Protect stall, but if you're playing it right, you know, you're not going to take too much damage. If you get the flinch, then the Protect really didn't matter, so it's a free Wish. And it's just those extra frustration patterns that you can do to like try to get your opponent on tilt and do crazy things to him like that. Also, Jirachi can be hilarious in double battles. This Pokemon has so much diversity because of it. Like, Icy Wind. Icy Wind is a good option because it's going to lower your opponent's speed, and then you can just kind of Iron Head them out. So, with that, you have kind of not a true power flinch, but have a good chance of flinching one of your opponent's Pokemon as a support Pokemon while dealing a decent amount of damage. You can also throw out the Safeguard, that way your heavy sweeper Pokemon isn't at risk of getting status, while you're also slowing down your opponents and trying to make it to where any kind of sweeper on your side of the field going to be faster, just going to run your opponent over, and then one of your opponent's retribution, like if they're trying to get a hit back in, they might even get flinched. You also have Protect for the Trollolol. That way, if you feel that they're going to focus fire you, you Protect, free damage, because I mean, you have to hit Jirachi at some point. Still doing damage, still a big threat, and that's kind of how it works. Now, we can also look at the way to do the EVs. I had no idea on what to do with this. Like, I'm thinking, well, you can go with the hit points. Now what? Well, you do have to put some kind of speed investment in depending on what you're looking to outspeed. If you're looking to completely take out like Hyper Sweepers, incredibly fast Pokemon with that Icy Wind, you do have to put some amount of speed investment in. Not quite 120, but I mean, you just have to think about it that when you use Icy Wind once, they're dropping to 66%, so they're losing 33% of their stats. So for the 405 base speed Pokemon, we just kind of need to get to 269, I believe. I think it's 268.5 or something like that when we do the math. So if you can get that, that means you're getting a lot of outspeeds after the Icy Wind, but anything slower, you know, it kind of doesn't matter. That if you're aiming for a slower target Pokemon, like Greninja, you could probably put a couple points somewhere else. Then you decide, do you want to be tanky? Do you want to invest in that special defense? Do you want to invest into that defense? Do you want to just like be a harder hitting Pokemon and go for the attack? That way your Iron Head, that's some good follow-up damage right there coming out. And then that's what you can look at, maybe just throw down a, not timid nature, we're going to want a jolly nature. That way you're getting that base amount of speed almost, you don't have to invest as much into the speed. Since all of the stats are even, it kind of doesn't matter what your nature is, as long as the points are going to the right spot. Then you can dump the rest in special defense to cover your weaknesses. You can split it between defense and special defense. You can maybe even just go like a full split right here with that calm nature, or actually careful nature. We don't really care about the special attack in this case. That way we can go 128, 128. Now we're a really good mixed tank. So we're ready for everything. We're a little more ready for those flamethrowers, dark pulses, shadow balls, things like that. And then since earthquake damage is getting split up in doubles anyway, we're going to be able to take an earthquake really well, high amount of hit points, and then we're still just throwing out a stupid amount of support. So there's a lot of potential here when you want to set up a Jirachi for doubles, depending on what you're looking for, like those outspeeds or whatever. And then we just kind of also have some other ways of running Jirachi in singles. That with this, Jirachi gets access to Healing Wish. A user faints and it replaces the next Pokemon's hit points to full, as long as they haven't fainted, and they also lose their any kind of status problems that they have. So this could be a really good mid-game Pokemon that you set up Thunder Wave, you go for the Stealth Rocks. That way now you're establishing Stealth Rocks after their potential Spinner, Defog Pokemon has been removed, and then you can just go into the Healing Wish from there. Now that they have like a paralyzed Pokemon, one of your sweepers is coming back in strong, you still have that Paraflinch between the Thunder Wave and Iron Head, and this is where I was coming up, careful nature, we do the split again, that way you're just ready for everything, you're just going to set up, provide a little bit of disruption, get that Stealth Rocks in there, get a status out there, and then you're making your Pokemon come back and get a lot of strength. So that's one thing that you can do. And also, since Jirachi is a Choice Scarf Pokemon with U-Turn, there's a lot of huge potential here. They can run U-Turn and Trick. Trick, as we saw earlier, it shuts down setup Pokemon. Some Pokemon become completely useless after you trick a Choice Scarf into them, so that could be very useful, or you can just kind of like swing some momentum like that. U-Turn means if you have a bad scout, you can still attack, get out of there really quick, and then turn that into a good prediction. And then Jirachi has like a lot of really cool coverage options that you can go Fire Punch, you can go Ice Punch, then you still have Iron Head. Iron Head, you can just Choice Scarf that Iron Head, and now you still have that 60% chance to flinch them. It's like a mini, actually, it's pretty much like a Choice Scarf with like the Togekiss on it. They're still doing a good amount of stab damage, and then they have a high chance of getting flinched, and you can do some silly things from there. So it's kind of like, do you want to handle Dragon-type Pokemon and Landorus, or are you worried more about Ferrothorn just completely walling you out? And do you even want the Trick? Trick is just one of those tricky things, but you can just run like Ice Punch and all this, and now you can kind of really get some good things. And it's also good to have Trick as an option to relieve yourself of the Choice Scarf. You see Ferrothorn, you can trick that Pokemon. Now it's not going to be able to do as much as it wants, and you still have a lot of options from there. Now you still have a good amount of speed as well. I was thinking we can go Adamant Nature, fully invest in the speed. I'm just showing the level 50 stats because I try to show both. In the battle spot, it gets round down to level 50. In simulators, and if you're doing level 100 battles, it's all the way up to level 100. So it just helps to know both sides of the equation, and you're still pretty fast. Like, at that 100 speed, you're going to be able to bust down a lot of slower Pokemon, and if you're holding onto your Choice Scarf, it kind of doesn't matter. So again, it's up to you on this set, but there's a lot of potential, and that's how you use Jirachi. That Jirachi has a lot of really cool things behind it, can do a lot of really crazy things, because Serene Grace, tons of base stats, tons of coverage, it has Healing Wish, it has Trick, it has a really cool kit. So if you guys enjoyed the video, and that's how you use Jirachi when it's allowed.